Hi and welcome to the Ruby Tuesday. My name is Ruben and this is my review for Amazon's original film, Dating Amber.
Don't worry, they haven't had sex yet. Jesus Christ.
So Dating Amber is directed by David Fran and is about two teens who form a relationship together to stop the bullying in school that they receive, because most of them say that they're lesbian, dyke or gay. They just are hounded, and so they decide to form this fake relationship in order to have the bullying stop. They're in this town that is fundamentally all about what it is like to be straight, what it is like to be a man's man.
Eddie shifted a girl today.
This town is basically a military town, and Eddie's dad, who play Eddie is the young character, who we get to see play this young guy who is gay, but doesn't want anybody to know, not even himself. So it's this young coming of age story, including Amber, who has lost her father, and there's this whole kind of broken relationship between her mom and her dealing with her past with her dad, the fact that how her dad died. At the same time, you've got Eddie's family who is dealing with their own stuff, the marriage, the idea of having a husband who is away for 6 months at a time because he is in the military, and you know what it means to be a man is to be, you know, you've got to be in the army, and that's what it means to be a man. And so it asks a lot of questions, this film. So this film has a bunch of themes that are kind of thrust in a town where everything is heightened negatively towards people that are gay or lesbian. And so when you have that in this military town, you can imagine that things are quite hard for people that are gay and lesbian. So it takes that. I have to say, I thought this film was expertly directed, but also the dialogue for the characters makes the situation that they're going through very believable. The two actors I thought were phenomenal. Their on-screen presence together when they're playing the parts that they need to play are just so believable. You immediately are engaged with their characters. You immediately are for them. You want people to stop their negativity. I think it's the perfect film for now. It has a message, and it does well without shoving it. It says it well without shoving it in your face. It's not an expense of the story, but that is the story, if that makes sense. I loved the acting from these two. I was riveted by their performances. So between the filmmaking, the dialogue, and their acting, you come away feeling, wow, that was actually an excellently crafted film, which I was surprised by, I guess, because most of the time you get subjects like this that are taken and you get your typical coming of age teenage film, and it doesn't really kind of finish off with those that theme that it's really trying to get across. I've seen a few Netflix films like this where it has a story to tell, it has something that it wants to tell you, but never really comes across right. It never really tells you. It never really does its job. Here I felt it did, and the ending I thought was quite satisfying as well, because you've been on this journey with these characters. The story is told in such a way that you've been on these highs and lows with these characters. You've felt every emotional bump, and when they are bullied, when they are trying to come out, that kind of moment that I've seen done in films before, but not quite as executed as well as this, I thought. You are with them, and you're willing them to, you know, come on, you can be brave, you can do this. But it's also showing how hard it is to be brave, and how sometimes people aren't just ready to be brave. I think the way it picks moments of their lives and shines a light at how hard it is, and what it must mean to live like that. I think it was excellently crafted within that story. Had there been other actors in these roles, the protagonist roles, I'm sure they would have done a great job, but I just feel like they found the right two actors for the performances that we got in this film. The genre for this apparently is comedy. I have to say there is some comedy, but I think that's very misleading. There's an undertone of sadness throughout the film. So although there is comedy, it's often comedy at the expense of our protagonist who you are rooting for. So I would say it's not really a comedy. It's coming of life, and it's quite hard to watch at times because you know the hardships they're going through. You can, even if you're not gay, you can understand what they've gone through. Everybody's gone through hard stuff like this in their lives. Not coming out, but you know, you have to deal with death, relationships breaking, what it means to love a certain somebody or someone someone some way. So you can relate to their characters of the stuff that they've gone through, so you're on their side. So when people, when the comedy is at their expense, I didn't find it funny. I was just more like, just slap that dude, man. It's more a coming of life story about how people come to terms with who they are, what their sexuality is. I think it tackles that subject very well. Definitely worth a watch. I think just for the performances alone, yeah, all around the board, not just our two main protagonists, these actors, I think, bring their A game. Their A game? Their A game. And that's because the dialogue is so tight. That it is really well crafted, that the shots selection, there's nothing wasted, there's no padding, it just tells the story like it needs to tell, and at the end of the day we end up with a really great film. So I'm going to give this an A. Let me know in the comments below what you thought about this. Do chat to me in the comments and tell me your favorite coming of age story like this. I've seen a few on Netflix which I didn't think were great. It's been a couple of okay ones, but for the most part they are pretty cheesy. But I think this one takes a more serious tone, although there are comedy moments. I think it's more of a drama. Yeah, so do chat to me there. But most of all, until next time, remember, live long and Tuesday.